Alright, I'm just going to go through some more examples, just following the AC method steps. You can follow along or you can just work them yourself and see if you get them right. So on this one we have 4y squared plus 12y plus 9. I do not see a GCF, so we have A, B, and C. Set up my chart. 4 times 9 is 36, and B is 12. So this is one of the first ones where A is not equal to 1, but the procedure is the same, which is why I like this method, because no matter what numbers you're working with, this procedure works. So I need two numbers that multiply to 36 and add to 12. That would be 6 and 6. Anytime your two values are the exact same number, you're going to get the same binomial twice when you're done, which is not that big of a deal, it's just what happens. So I'm going to take this, so I have 4y squared. I'll split the middle term into 6y and 6y, and then plus 9. Look at the first two terms, take out what's common, write down what's left. The second two terms, take out what's common, and write down what's left. And a factored form would be 2y plus 3 times 2y plus 3. So again, anytime you have the exact same number here, you're going to get the exact same binomial twice. And sometimes we write that as 2y plus 3, the whole thing squared. So that's a shorthand way of writing that. It's a special type of trinomial, but the procedure again is the same. Let's look here. We have 8x squared minus 18x plus 9. I'm going to check for GCF. I do not see one. So we have A, B, and C. I'm going to use the AC method again. 8 times 9 is 72, and B is negative 18. Now in this example, these numbers get pretty big, and 72 has a lot of factors. So there is a way in your graphing calculator to kind of help yourself find those factors. And the way to do that, if you turn your calculator on, there's a button at the top called y equals. If you push y equals, clear out anything that's there, just push clear. And you're going to type in the number you're trying to get to, 72, and then divided by, the division button, divided by, and you're going to choose the x key, which is right next to the alpha key, so divided by x. So you put in your AC number divided by x, and x is again right next to the alpha key. From there you're going to push second. When you push second, you'll notice the up arrow appear, and then graph. Above the word graph is the word table. So what we're really doing is looking at a table. Let me put my table back at 0. Yours should start at 0. So 0 is always going to give you an error for dividing by 0. But then you have 1 and 72, you have 2 and 36, 3 and 24, 4 and 18. You have all these pairs of numbers that multiply to 72. You ignore the ones that have decimals, and you find the pair that can potentially add to negative 18. So if you see I have 6 and 12, 6 times 12 is 72 because that's the way we put it in the calculator. And if I make them both negative, they will add to negative 18. So if you're having trouble coming up with pairs or the numbers are just too big, go to y equals, put in the number you want divided by x, and then second table. And you can scroll up and down. You can even go up into the negatives if you want. And you just find the pair that can potentially add to your B term. Alright, so we've got it, negative 6 and negative 12. So 8x squared, and it's going to be minus 6x minus 12x plus 9. Then we'll do our grouping. That would be 2x, which leaves 4x minus 3. Here we're going to take out that negative, and we'll take out a 3, and that should also leave 4x minus 3. For a final answer of 2x minus 3 times 4x minus 3. So again, the procedure is the same, no matter what numbers you have that you're working with. We can just keep going here. 6, 5, and negative 6, I do not see a GCF. So A, B, C, we'll set up our chart. 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. We're trying to get to negative 5. Let's see. 6 and 6 won't get us there. 12 and 5 won't get us there. 18 and 2 won't get us there. I don't think there's anything that will work for this. So let's see. Negative 36 divided by x. Just double checking here. Oh, here we go. 4 and 9. Right. So if you're ever not sure, like right then I was like, I don't think I have one. Go ahead and check in y equals. Here we have positive 4 and negative 9, or vice versa, negative 4 and positive 9. And sure enough, that will add to 5. So if I have positive 9 and negative 4, that will make 5. So even on smaller numbers, if you're feeling stuck, you can always let the calculator help you out. So we have 6x squared plus 9x minus 4x minus 6. We'll do our grouping. 3x times 2x plus 3. This would be a minus 2. That should also give us 2x plus 3. Remember, when you take out a negative, it changes that sign. So our answer should be 3x minus 2 times 2x plus 3. Alright, let's keep going here. 7, 31, and 20. I do not see a GCF. So we have A, B, and C. 7 times negative 20 is negative 140. B is negative 31. So I need two numbers that multiply to negative 140 and add to negative 31. I'm definitely going to have that calculator help. Remember, the negative key is at the bottom of your calculator. You do not use the minus key, you use the negative key. So negative 140 divided by x. Let's go to our table. And let's look. We need it to add to negative 31, so there it is, positive 4 and negative 35. What did I say? Positive 4 and negative 35. Excellent. So then we'll go ahead and split the middle term. It doesn't matter which number you put first. Some of my students say if you put the negative number first, it makes it a little bit easier, but you get the same answer either way. So take out an x. We're left with 7x plus 4. Here we'll take out a negative 5, and we should also be left with 7x plus 4. So our factored form would be x minus 5 times 7x plus 4. And there we have it. Alright, let's just keep on going. I've got a few more sets here. If you're getting the hang of this, you don't need to continue watching. If you want to just see as many examples as possible, then you can just keep on following along. So we have 6x squared plus 27x minus 15. I do see a GCF there of 3. That leaves me 2x squared plus 9x minus 5. So remember, we're going to bring that 3 down and hang on to it for the final answer. This will be our A, B, and C. So this is negative 10, positive 9. So there's my pair. So I'm going to have 2x squared. I'm going to split the middle term to positive 10x and minus x. Leave the minus 5. Go ahead and do my grouping. Take out a negative 1 there. And that will give me x plus 5. So the 3 will be out front. And then 2x minus 1 and x plus 5. Don't forget about your GCF out front. It's easily forgotten. So forgetting that will throw off everything, so just be careful. Alright, let's keep going. 3, 8, and 11. I do not see a GCF. So we have A, B, and C. Set up our chart. 3 times negative 11 is 33. I'm trying to get to negative 8. That would be negative 11 and 3. So we have 3x squared minus 11x plus 3x minus 11. You can switch those around, it's not going to hurt anything. do our grouping. Here there's nothing in common, so I'm going to take out a positive 1. And my final answer will be x plus 1 times 3x minus 11. And you just want to practice this over and over and over with as many examples as possible until you feel extremely comfortable. Let's look at the next set. I do not see GCF. We have A, B, and C. Set up our chart. A times C is negative 12, B is negative 1. So we have negative 4 and 3. So we have 3x squared minus 4x plus 3x minus 4. Do our grouping. Oops, that should be minus 4. I'm going to take out a positive 1 because there's nothing in common, so I just have 3x minus 4 again. And the factored form will be x plus 1 times 3x minus 4. Do that again. I don't see a GCF. We have A, B, and C. It'll be negative 24 and positive 5. So my pair would be 8 and negative 3. So 4x squared plus 8x minus 3x minus 6. Do my grouping. Hopefully you're getting the hang of this and you're just kind of following along. You should be able to work these without any trouble. Again, not necessarily quickly, but correctly every time without any hiccups or mistakes. So watch your signs, make sure you're following each step. If something doesn't make sense, watch the video again, email me, look in your textbook, whatever you need to do to make sure you're getting it exactly correct every single time. Sorry, it's not looking right. There we go. X plus 2. Alright, we've got about 3 more. These are looking a little crazier, but again, the process is the same. So when you have one that looks pretty crazy, you want to look for DCFs, like a detective. As much as you can take out, the easier the problem would be. So between 12, 22, and 8, I can definitely take out a 2. I have x cubed, x squared, and x, so I can take an x out. And there's a y on every term, so I can take a y out. So the more you can take out, the easier it is. So that gives me 6x squared minus 11x plus 4, which is so much easier to work with than what it was before. So this will be A, B, and C. I'm going to bring this guy down to the end and then set up my chart. Notice I always put my chart to the side so that I can work the problem here. So 6 times 4 is 24. B is negative 11. That would be negative 8 and negative 3. So 6x squared minus 8x minus 3x plus 4. It would be 2x times 3x minus 4. Here I'm going to take out a negative 1 because that's negative. That will also leave 3x minus 4. So the final answer will have 2xy, and then 2x minus 1, and then 3x minus 4. So the whole answer with the GCF included, and then the 2 binomials. Same idea with the next one. We want to look for as many GCFs as we can. 57 is kind of a tricky number, but I know 18 divides by 3, and I know 30 divides by 3. So I'm just going to check and see if 57 divides by 3. And sure enough, it does. If you're in your table, I forgot to show you that. If you're in your table and you want out, there's a button that says quit. If you push second, quit, it will take you to your home screen. So if you ever push something and you're like, oh crap, what did I do? Second quit will get you to your home screen. So sure enough, 57 does divide by 3. It's 19. So I'm going to go ahead and take 3 out of the equation. Then I'm also going to take out a b squared out of the equation. That leaves me with 6b squared minus 19b plus 10. Again, just easier to work with. bring my 3b squared down, a, b, and c. 6 times 10 is 60, b is negative 19. That should be negative 15 and negative 4 to add to negative 19. So 6b squared minus 15b minus 4b plus 10. Do I do the grouping? Let's see, oh, that's 15. Nope, sorry, wrote that all kinds of wrong. It's minus 15. There we go. So I need to take out a 3b. That leaves me 2b minus 5. Here I'll take out a negative 2, and it also leaves me a 2b minus 5. So my final answer, hopefully that's not too cluttered there. Final answer is 3b squared from the GCF times 3b minus 2 times 2b minus 5. So they can get a little icky, but again, the procedure is the same. And the last thing I want to show you here is this one at the bottom, x squared plus 3x plus 5. So there is no GCF. We're going to set up our chart. AC is 5, B is 3. And there are no pairs that multiply to 5 and add to 3. So no pairs will make that true. And very rarely you'll have a situation where there's just nothing that works. You've checked the calculator, you've checked every combination, it does not work. When there are no pairs, it does not factor, which is very rare. That does not happen very much. If it does not factor, we call it prime. So every now and then you'll get one that's prime. Very rarely, not all the time. Most of the time they're going to factor for you. Every now and then you'll get to one where you're trying to think of that pair and you've checked and you've checked and you've checked. There are absolutely no pairs that make it true, in which case it is prime. But that is factoring trinomials. You need to get extremely efficient at this throughout this course and then into college algebra. So practice, practice, practice.